Welcome, everybody. Breaking news just happened. President Trump has a ceasefire coming up with Iran and Israel within 6 hours. It's going to go into effect. Not only that, I'm going to show you a clip of JD Vance and Fox anchor Bret. And he's asked a very legitimate question toward Vance that everybody has in mind. Basically, in a sense, he's asking what happens next. Is this going to be real peace, status quo? How is this ceasefire going to look like, right? And will there be a regime change? Will there be prolonged peace? Will Iran get back nuclear weapons and just build it up? So we're going to play Vice President JD Vance and the anchor's video real quick.
So after all this, if the Iranian government survives as is, what's to stop it from rebuilding over time if they in fact moved the 60% highly enriched uranium? You know, that's the concern.
No, the big concern, Brett, and this is again what we destroyed, is their ability to enrich uranium. If they have 60% enriched uranium, but they don't have the ability to enrich it to 90%, and further, they don't have the ability to convert that to a nuclear weapon, that is mission success. That is the obliteration of their nuclear program, which is why the president, I think, rightly is using that term. But here's the question. If Iran is desperate to build a nuclear weapon in the future, then they're going to have to deal with a very, very powerful American military again. Our hope is that the lesson that the Iranians have learned here is, look, we can fly a bunker buster bomb from Missouri to Iran completely undetected without landing once on the ground, and we can destroy whatever nuclear capacity you build up. I think that lesson is what's going to teach them not to rebuild their nuclear capacity.
Yesterday, were you speaking on the president's behalf when you said he was not interested in regime change?
Well, Brett, what I've said is the American military, that is not our mission as regime change. Our mission was to destroy the nuclear facilities and the nuclear program of Iran, which we, of course, did. I think what the president's also said is that the Iranian people want to make a decision about regime change. That's between the Iranian people and the regime. Of course, we support freedom fighters all around the world, but our mission was to destroy the nuclear facilities, and that's what we did.
So you don't...
Look, I love President JD Vance, but I just felt his response to be too diplomatic. It was too, rehearsed, which is kind of ironic considering my channel trailer. But you get the idea, is that it wasn't really a lot of substance in it. He just basically reiterates that we show them American military might now, and that's going to basically dissuade them from building up nuclear weapons in the future. I just think that's a very arbitrary line of status quo peace, this ceasefire deal, and I'm very apprehensive about that. But we do have to recognize, it's like, look, we don't really know about the upcoming regime change. Iran has basically shut down the internet. We don't really have an idea, as an average day citizen of the United States, we don't really have an idea, or just around the world, we don't really have an idea of what's going on in Iran right now. It's really interesting because we don't know how much revolution is happening in the streets, how much protests, what the Prince of Iran is doing, how he's basically contributing to regime change. And we don't really know what's going on. So I can't say that the ceasefire deal is necessarily the wrong move, but I can't say that I'm fully confident in it at this moment. I think that personally at the moment, from what the information that I have at the moment, I think that Israel just needs to keep on bombarding, keep on attacking military personnel and equipment inside of Iran, basically continuing to further weaken the regime in a sense. And as this regime gets weaker and weaker, the revolution will take up speed and basically wind up replacing and overthrowing the Ayatollah, right? And that's kind of my concept. But so I think this ceasefire is very forced, it's very pushed, and we'll see how it works. But as a citizen, we don't really have enough information, so we just have to trust our President Trump. So I hope there is peace in the Middle East. I sincerely hope that for regime change, Iran becomes another democracy. We'll have the second democracy in the Middle East. We'll have an ally of Israel and the United States inside, another one inside of the Middle East. Instead of a Russia and China proxy, it will completely change the tide of geopolitics between the world superpowers. And I think it would be amazing if we could have a regime change inside of Iran. But we'll see if JD Vance's and Trump's move works. But I really sincerely hope it does. I hope that they have a lot more information than I do. I hope that the revolution's not going to die because of the ceasefire, And that's my biggest concern, is that the whatever revolutionary movement is happening inside of Iran starts to get squabbled and smothered out because of the ceasefire deal. That's my biggest concern at the moment. But we'll see how it's going to unfold within the next less than 6 hours at this point in time. Probably at the time of upload might have already happened. So just I'll keep you posted. I'll link the Prince of Iran's speech, basically like stirring the flames of revolution. And on top of that, have a good one from Zionist Brother. Peace out. Sources in the description. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, comment, share. Thanks.